And then we have a billboard video, and then Ashiri, after the video, you'll start, okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
We're live.
Yes. So billboard video.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Namaste, Assalamu alaikum, good evening, good night, or good morning to all of you. We are pleased to have you in this meeting and having people here from all over the world from different time zones. Unfortunately, Shakira cannot be here with us today. I am Ashiria Alnrud. I'm from the Netherlands. I'm a graduate in liberal arts and sciences at Erasmus University. And my family is from Suriname in the Caribbean. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the 214th edition of our ICC Thought Leaders Forum. We wish to sincerely thank all of you who are here who have contributed in whatever way to the success of this ongoing Pan-Indo-Caribbean and Pan-Indian Diaspora Global Project. For 213 unbroken continuous weeks, we have been here every single Sunday. And in the past 4 years, 1 month and 2 weeks, we have featured over 898 presenters from all parts of the world speaking on 213 topics. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a weekly forum. It's being hosted by the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center, a legally registered research and publishing company operating since 2010. And in order to continue this weekly program and make it even bigger and better, we are asking for suggestions and volunteers. If you give a donation, your name will be placed on our poster and all promotional materials. Please contact Dr. Mahabir for details. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce our moderator, who is Shalima Mohammed. She's the co-director of this ICC Zoom platform, and she is a business teacher and researcher from Trinidad and Tobago. She obtained her master's degree in business psychology from Franklin University in the USA. Shalima, welcome.
Thanks so much, Ashiria. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Namaste, and a warm welcome to all of you. Thanks so much for choosing to be here with us. Despite the fact that we are under tropical storm watch in Trinidad and Tobago and that much of the Windward Islands are under hurricane watch at this time, we are hoping that we have a very good session today that's uninterrupted by any internet challenges. However, I am putting you on notice in the event that there are some glitches. Please be advised that it's because we have some imminently bad weather that we are facing. So this program is being recorded on Zoom and live streamed on the YouTube channel of the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center. Welcome to all of you on YouTube at this time. In order to avoid intrusions from trolls, our IT manager has muted everyone. Speakers, please do not admit anyone, do not unmute anyone, and do not allow anyone to share your screen. Thanks so much for cooperating. Today, we are having discussions on the screening of Ian Harnarine's film entitled Doubles with Slight Pepper. This was produced by Spike Lee and directed, written, and produced by Ian Harnarine. Doubles with Slight Pepper is a Canadian short drama film released in 2011. The film stars Susan Hannes Abraham, plays the role of Mother Sumintra, and Sanjiv Boodhu, who we will hear from later, plays the role of Danny, a young doubles vendor in Trinidad in the Caribbean, whose estranged father, Ragbir, played by Errol Sitahal, whom you will hear from later as well, returns from Toronto for the first time in many years to reveal that he's dying. Doubles with Sly Pepper is arguably the most critically acclaimed film to come out of Trinidad and Tobago. This is not what we are saying. Jonathan Ali, in fact, wrote this in the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival magazine. The film won the Toronto International Film Festival Award for Best Canadian Short Film at the 2011 Toronto International Film Festival and was added to their year-end Canada's Top 10 list. In 2012, it won the Genie Award for Best Live Action Short Drama at the 32nd Genie Awards. Before we hear from our first speaker, who will be Badru Deen, whose parents actually created the doubles that we know and love, we want to share with you a trailer of the movie. So Daryl, can you please bring that preview? Thanks so much, Daryl. So there you saw doubles at the end making its debut. And let me invite Mr. Badru Deen now to talk about what this thing is. He's a retired entrepreneur who ran his own corporation. He's the author of the book entitled Out of the Doubles Kitchen, a memoir of the first family of doubles, his family story. Doubles is a creation of Trinidad and Tobago that is now the national street food. Welcome, Mr. Badru Deen. Are you able to unmute? No, can you unmute, please?
Yeah,
Yes.
he's good now.
Okay. Thank you, Shalima, and hello to fellow panelists, and good to see Ian again. I missed you in Miami. The name Doubles with Slight Pepper resonates with me, of course, coming from the house of doubles. And we're going to hear, I'm putting Ian on notice to tell us why he chose that name to depict a very interesting piece of the history of Trinidad and Tobago through his short film. For the international viewers who may not be familiar with the Trinidadian cuisine, I'd like to speak a little about the history of doubles and what it is, and what are these things we call doubles. For the Indian viewers, they may feel comfortable in comparing it to chana bhatura or chole bhatur, which is an Indian dish in northern India, served there on the streets also. However, our doubles, created in 1936 in Princestown, is a unique product in many ways. It may be plausibly said that it is similar to chana bhatura, but because of its local ingredients and presentation and the formulas that are used in Trinidad and the Caribbean, as a matter of fact, is completely different from chana bhatura. They may be similar in some ways, but doubles is uniquely Trinidadian fast food. Here are my parents who created this in 1936. So 88 years ago is the history we're looking at for doubles. What exactly are doubles? If we go down to a couple of my slides, please, the next one. Yeah, here we go. This was at the book launch in Napa, where we served the original doubles. And doubles are two fried fritters of bread made of seasoned flour and filled with curried, spicy chana or chickpeas, topped off by condiments with like mango chutney, tamarind chutney, and what have you, and pepper sauce, of course. And the heat can go from, as the title suggests in the short film, from slight to medium to heavy pepper. So Ian chose slight in his title. We can go back to yes, please. Ian, this is a bicycle that and a freight the doubles box that I wish I knew you before you made the movie. I would have loaned this to you. As you can see, the difference between this box was created by my father in 1936 to peddle his business, and in that box, it's a compartmentalized box where all the ingredients and the supplies that make a double is sitting in that box and well protected to reach the customer's hands and mouths. So this has become an iconic symbol of doubles vending. And even without the freight bicycle, where that box was built around, the shape remains the same for many doubles vendors, as it is such a useful tool in peddling of the doubles on the streets. So Ian is going to tell us why he chose to title his film Doubles with Slight Pepper. But I want to congratulate Ian for producing this critically acclaimed, awards-winning, and poignant short film that captures the complexities of Indo-Trinidadian family relationships and cultural identity by skillfully exploring themes of economic hardship, migration, forgiveness, and redemption. The storyline is enriched by the Indo-cultural backdrop and the importance of doubles, the #1 street food of the nation, that provides a livelihood and escape for so many families from their prison of poverty. Ian is a compelling storyteller who in just 16 minutes gives us a slice of Trinidad's authentic cultural reality. This is something that I want to comment on, and I hope Ian corroborates my understanding of this. But in the 16 minutes that Ian had to put all of this story together and make it into a whole, in a split second, he touched on a psychological subject that people like Danny are being treated for. I'm talking about the character, of course, are being treated for by psychologists and psychiatrists. The problem occurs when a father abandons his family and the father's role is imposed on the oldest son, with the mother and younger siblings becoming dependent on him as the father figure of the household. Such a son needs professional counseling to find his identity. And where did that split second happen in the movie? For those who have seen it, you will see that Danny pushes away his father from touching his mother, protecting her, because he is now the father image in that house. Don't mess with my mother, man. It's basically the message sent there. I picked that out because I thought it was interesting from a psychological point of view, because one can become a psychological father even if you are not, in fact, the birth father. Another somewhat funny situation is happening with me. Mr. Sitahal's acting is so authentic that I have on few occasions people attending my book events saying that Sitahal is the creator of Doubles in Trinidad. So what they heard was the line that that Sitahal used to tell his Danny. He said, "You know, Danny, I did make the first doubles that you ever eat, but Trinidadians with their selective hearing forgot about that you ever eat and only kept, I did make the first doubles." So I present my book telling them who created Doubles in Trinidad, and people say, "Hey, it's Sitahal who created it. It's in the movie." So congratulations, my friend. You created Doubles in Trinidad. The story of the Deens as the first family of doubles is told on many platforms since publication of my book, Out of the Doubles Kitchen. It is on the Travel Channel, social media, and mass media in Trinidad, USA, and Canada, in in-flight magazines of Caribbean Airline and Air Canada, and articles on the BBC News, and recently in March of this year in the New York Times. In addition, my book events educate audiences in Winnipeg, Toronto, Ottawa, New York, and Florida about doubles. Now, this short film, Doubles with Slight Pepper, and the full feature that Ian recently produced, will certainly be another platform showcasing to global audiences this delicacy called doubles. So, who would have thought that the double island nation of Trinidad and Tobago would become famous for doubles? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Badru. It's very interesting that people will say that it is Errol Sitahal who made the doubles. Let's now, without further ado, after that terrific introduction, let us now see this very interesting film, Doubles with Slight Pepper, 15 minutes long. Daryl, can you bring that, please?
Yeah.
I am 104th generation Brahmin. That's a lie. I come from a long line of poor, stupid bullies. I work under the blazing hot sun for donkey years. Yeah, man, that's me. Doubles, doubles!
You meant to with Slight Pepper. So how the doubles business going, boy?
Used to be better. $6.
Yeah? You want me to come out? Give me a hug up now, boy, and come back. And look what I bring for you. All the way from Toronto. Look. Come now, man. I eat nothing the whole day, boy. All right. Just give me a chance. Wait, no, boy.
The shop go close soon. Ma!
Hey, look, the stamp finally come back from Canada. Talk now, no? The boy here, talk now.
I always like the folk instruments, yeah.
Why are you doing this?
He needs a place to stay for a few days.
So?
So, we use that time to get him to sign the house over to me. We have got to get him to do that.
You're not going to do that.
He's a scamp, yes, but we need to get the land. Get what we deserve.
Hey, boy, so how business going these days, boy?
Not good. But you don't care.
Well, that was not selling and something wrong. We used to have long lineups. Remember that, Simon? I built this whole house on doubles money. I want to change the recipe. Because
What the
it
hell
used
are
to
you
be-
doing here? We living like you're dead for years. So just go on dead now. Leave we.
I come back to make things right.
Then sign over the house to me and ma.
Okay. All right. No problem.
You can't go back on your word, you know.
Not going back.
You sure?
Yeah.
Why too easy?
You really want to know? Okay. Come with me tomorrow.
Tomorrow is Christmas Eve. It's a big day for business. You know that?
How much is making a day, boy? Name it. I will double it.
Triplet.
Okay.
Hey, hurry up and dinner. You alright in there? Hey, you okay?
Yeah, what?
You okay?
Sorry it took you so long.
We going in here?
Yeah. Come now, come.
Have there been any changes since your arrival?
Bit of pain, but I could deal with that. But glad I have my son with me.
What's going on here?
Your father has thrombocytopenia.
Okay.
It's a blood disorder. Have you told him? He has HH or Bombay blood. Donors are very rare, and you're a prime candidate. Situation is critical.
You are dirty man.
You're applying too much pressure. You think I'm happy to see her while struggling? You think I really expect you to help me? Because I ruined everything for you. Things just didn't turn out the way I wanted.
The way you wanted? You tell me take over your stupid double stand for a few months until they send for me.
If you could look beyond all that and help me.
I still wonder what I would say to you. But now, all I want to do is look you in the eye and make sure I don't see myself.
So keep that in a safe place.
Sign it, we get a house.
I want you to start a roti and double shop in Canada, and the three of you would be running it, selling only to white people. Instead, end up in a basement apartment living with two other people, washing dishes in a cafeteria.
Yeah, we still could have lived like a family, eh?
I keep telling myself, when I have enough money, I will send for Olia. I'm still saying that. Let me help you with that. Check that channel that you have. See, help me. You never tell this boy about my secret ingredient?
You always made it, Chana.
Honey, look, watch. I'm telling you.
Hey man, you go spoil the thing.
Just give it a sweet taste. Here. Check it. Telling you?
What happened?
My sick, my real
Oh
sick.
God. Oh God.
Alright, you'll be alright, pa. You'll be okay. Cool yourself, pa. You'll be alright. Cool yourself.
Okay, you need to sign the blood test and transfusion forms. We'd give you guys a couple of minutes, but we have to move quickly, okay?
Nurse Faber, please report to the
Look at me. Completely useless. Sumitra, I want to taste your doubles.
You cannot have that now. You're going for operation.
Man, please. Just give me a piece. Break off a little piece. Yes. That's the taste. There was a little boy, but still you saying, Pa, I want one with slight pepper.
Hold on.
You know, Danny, I did make the first doubles that you ever try.
You teach me to make doubles.
My boy, the doubles man.
Again late, you know. I think I better go home.
No. I'm not leaving you here. I'm not leaving him here. I'm staying.
Ma, look at the time already. Tomorrow is Christmas. It's Christmas Eve. There are plenty things to do home.
You'll eat the doubles, right?
Yes, ma. Found the source of the bleeding and stopped it. So he's out of immediate danger. But he still needs a compatible donor. Your blood doesn't match. Danny, is there anyone else in the family who could be a donor? I am a 104th generation Brahmin. That's a lie. I come from a long line of poor and stupid coolies. They work under the blazing hot sun for donkey years, making Englishmen rich. They make children that do the same thing. That's me.
Wow, y'all. There are so many themes coming out of that short 15 minutes. So many themes. However, I'll ask you all to hold it until after all the presentations are made, and then we can have your comments and your questions. Let me introduce the man that played the role of Pa, Errol Sitahal. He played various roles in Caribbean theater and Hollywood movies, including A Little Princess. He wrote that he struggles to work in a market that offers rare opportunities for Indo-Trinidadian actors. His own quote. Welcome, Mr. Sitahal.
Hi. Thank you. So what do you want to know?
Why did you agree to play this particular role?
I guess Ian made it convincing enough for me not to refuse. He sort of presented me with something that nobody had presented me with before, and that was to play something that I'm very familiar with and I grew up with. This is my life, more or less. And you might see that it didn't take much acting to do the part. So I agreed to play it because I felt closer to this character than I did to anything I ever did before. And I had to thank Ian for that. Yes.
So what was your experience during filming with the other actors?
Oh, the person I interacted with mostly, of course, was Sanjiv, who played my son. And I cannot I cannot forget the way in which he related to me as an actor during the filming and on camera and off camera. He's probably one of the most focused young actors I've ever worked with. And if I were to think generally about the film, a short film does not present very much affective. The affective aspect is often sort of subordinated to the information that it has to give. And you try to get as much information as you possibly can in a period that is very short, like 15 minutes. So for the characters, it's sometimes difficult to get deeply involved, especially emotionally in the movie. That's what I think. That's what I mean about the affective aspect of it. So what I realized about Sanjiv was that even in this short period of time, in this film, he was capable of getting a very powerful, distinct, and impressive attitude. The character, the attitude, and that is what made me respond the way I did to him. If anything, he made my performance in the film. That sort of thing. It was working with him like that. It's working with actors who respond and who give you something to work with. That was interesting for me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
So he really played the role of the son who was at first so emotional about having been abandoned. Yes. And yet when it came to that sense, he also had that strong sense of duty that goes with being a son. He was very protective of his mother, and he was he showed though that he was still your son.
Yes, I think so. I think that those ambivalent feelings are what make films interesting. That is neither one thing nor the other, but there is this dialectic between, do I like this guy or do I hate him? But I do like him and I do hate him. And that carries the film. And I think Sanjiv had that. And as a matter of fact, it made me question, during the playing of the part, it made me question, how do I really feel about my son? I left them a long time ago. What the hell am I doing in Canada for 20 odd years? And I come back here to get something from them, not having given them anything, and I have to respond to this son that I loved, and yet who doesn't seem to love me at the moment, and I understand why. And yet I do want the love. I mean, it's the ambivalence that makes the film like that. Yeah. Mm.
So let's talk about the doubles. What was the secret ingredient?
Mr. Dean will tell you about that. Of course, if people think I created doubles, fine, let them think it. But no, I don't know where the idea for honey came from. I mean, I never asked Ian where he got that idea to introduce it into the film. I mean, I know when I taste doubles, I do taste something sweet in it, right? So it's quite possible that people put honey in their doubles. Is that right? I don't know.
Tamarind. It's a tamarind chutney. I always thought it's a tamarind chutney.
Oh, but tamarind has a little sweet taste to it, I guess, normally.
No, when you make it sweet enough, your tamarind chutney, you ask for sweet sauce is tamarind chutney.
Right, yeah. But what make it sweet?
Sugar.
Well, in this case, it was honey. And I, no, I never knew about honey until Ian told me about it. Yeah.
So let's talk about the socioeconomic conditions of a general doubles vendor. Not many of them would be able to afford honey, at least not in these times.
Yeah.
Not many of them would be able to avoid, and Badru Deen is agreeing with me, they won't be able to afford honey to add to the doubles.
Yes.
Absolutely. It's basic sugar that was added.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
There you have your answer.
Good. So when you were doing the film, you said that it was reflective of your upbringing and so on.
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit about that. Where would have been your favorite place to get doubles?
Well, I wasn't thinking about eating doubles. To tell you the truth, I probably ate my first doubles when I was about 8 or 9 years old. That's a long time ago, and it was brought by my father. He used to go to collect his pay on a Saturday, and whenever I come back with doubles and jalebi and things like that, and that's how I got my first doubles, right? But what I was actually talking about was the difficulty of growing up in the country in a poor family. That's basically what it is. What I was talking about was the fact that Hindu families who make doubles have a hard time. Imagine a woman working almost all night, and in 3 o'clock in the morning you're finishing up making your chana and frying your bara, and then you have to go out on the road, and then sometimes all night, all day, and sometimes in the night. The feature film has something very, very beautiful about that, where the woman, the wife, gets robbed in the night when she's standing there alone with her doubles. I mean, after all that work, you go through this. People never realize, people never really think about how difficult it was for women and the other members of the family to work so hard throughout the night and make doubles. And nowadays they get robbed, really get robbed. You know.
That comment, Errol, is well taken, because I know what my mother did for the doubles business. I describe her as the propelling rear wheel of that doubles freight bike.
Wow. yes. And they stayed alive for a long time. They stayed strong.
Yes.
In spite of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we also saw Sanjiv there, or Danny, being very protective of his mother. So he knew that his business would not thrive unless his mom was able to be there. But apart from that, he was the son who was working essentially for her to ensure that she was well taken care of. Let's talk about the land issue that came up. You know, the whole indentured Indian experience has been sullied by the fact that Indians are thought of to be land grabbers, land owners, and they do everything to protect the land. And I'm glad I saw it come out in this film, that one of the more important things that they wanted from the father was this title to the land. Is it an Indian thing, or is it just a general thing?
I think that basically the East Indians in Trinidad had a very close relationship with the land. And they probably brought that with them from India. But in any case, when they came here, they were working on the land for somebody else, right? To sweeten somebody else's English afternoon, you know. But they had this relationship with the land, and this was a basic and very intimate relationship, and land was that important to them. What else could they do? They couldn't plant in the skies. They couldn't plant in the clouds. They couldn't plant in the, they had to plant on the land. And that was their living. And that was their living. And that relationship was never lost. So having the land was very important for them. Because this man had left. I mean, I think one of the things Ragbir did was forsake the land. And I think that is a very, very bad thing. He forsook the land. He severed himself from the land. And that was, I remember seeing a film called Green Days by the River. I remember that recently done. And one of the things that that film missed was the engagement of the people with the land. There wasn't that engagement. And it was basically about an agricultural situation. But the film missed that engagement with the land. And Indians have that engagement with the land. That is why the land is so important. In the feature film, there's a scene which spells it out a little more. But we'll wait until we see that. It spells it out, that relationship with the land. This boy wants to sell the land. And I tell him, what do you want to sell the land for? It came from your grandfather and your great-grandfather and you just want to sell it? No, the land is important. Yes, it was. It was, definitely.
Excellent. So thank you so much for sharing.
Okay, good.
We'll chat more. We'll chat more when you appear on the next program.
Okay. I hope I look young enough for 82. Are you?
Nobody would guess.
Okay, fine. Thanks very much. Thanks very much, Shirley.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, right. Bye-bye.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. Errol Sitahal. And we move straight into the person who played his son, Danny. This is attorney at law, Sanjiv Boodhu. As a child, Sanjiv started his acting career with the Freddie Kissoon-led Strolling Players Theatre Company and has had over 50 stage performances to date. He returns to the screen in the Doubles sequel. Welcome, Sanjiv. Can you unmute?
Pardon me. Yes, I was muted. Good afternoon, a very good afternoon to everyone. Good afternoon, Ms. Mohammed. Good afternoon, Dr. Mahabir. And of course, a very pleasant good afternoon to Errol and to Ian. Thank you all very much for having me this afternoon. I'm very pleased to be here. I'm glad to have the opportunity.
Okay, please stay unmuted.
Yes, sure.
So you receive a lot of compliments there from your pa for your acting in the movie. Can you share a little bit with us about what that experience was like for you?
Well, Errol is quite modest. He doesn't speak very much about his own acting skills. He tends to speak about mine. But what he has refrained from saying is that I was indirectly trained as an actor by Errol. And what I mean by indirectly, more so than directly, I should say. I was in fact directly trained during the filming of this movie and, of course, the feature film Doubles. However, I was more significantly indirectly trained by Errol because Errol Sitahal trained my father as a then 17-year-old student at Queen's Royal College. I won't say how long ago. And of course, I was introduced to theatre by my father, who is an actor, and he is here this afternoon, Kenneth Boodhu. He is on the link and looking on. So that a lot of the training that I have had as an actor is, in fact, indirectly so, due to Errol's skills himself as an actor. That is the first thing. The second thing is working with Errol, and it's similar to what he has said about me. Working with Errol was, in and of itself, a lesson in drama. He is a very, well, there's no need for me to speak about his accolades. Everybody knows. I mean, he's an internationally recognized actor, but he is quite diligent and consistent in delivering the role in which he played both times. And in 2011, as a very young actor still myself, I was very happy to have the opportunity to work with Errol. He made it very easy for me to bring the character to life, so to speak. Yeah. So, but I do appreciate his comments about my the method by which I have chosen to fill out the role. I appreciate that he appreciates my style. We have a good dynamism together, if I can say so myself. I'm not certain whether Ian might agree. He might find us a bit mischievous at times. But I hope that I'm making it clear that, a lot of the credit really is due to Errol. In fact, I most believe, and I think Ian can confirm, that it is Errol who, in fact, recommended me for this part in the first place. So had it not been for him, as far as I'm aware, I may not even have been given the opportunity to play that role. I really do owe him a great deal of credit for my involvement in this now decade-long project, or a little over a decade-long project. In terms of the actual filming of the movie, it was in fact my first film. I had television experience where I was acting in plays that were televised by way of being filmed in sort of a one long run. So it was not an operation where there was any cutting and editing and so on. It was simply two cameras put on a stage and it was recorded for television and it was shown on television that way. So this was my first experience with film. Very interesting experience. I've never forgotten the lessons that I've learned there as an actor and the skills that I've developed as a result of it. I can recall very clearly, we filmed the movie over the span of 7 days, many of which ran more than 12 hours, some running 18 hours a day. All the locations were in Trinidad, ranging from Sangre Grande to North Arima, to Gasparillo, to Williamsville, to San Fernando. In fact, we did a lot of the entire house scene is filmed in Errol's home in Williamsville. So that was another opportunity I had to see a lot of areas and work and walk the pavements of a lot of areas that I had never been to before. The night scene, the very last scene of the movie, was filmed on the streets of Gasparillo, 2 o'clock in the morning. Quite an experience, even for someone who lives in Trinidad. You know, it's not, you're not going to find yourself walking down the main road of Gasparillo, eating doubles at 2 o'clock in the morning, usually. The use of the doubles bicycle was another cultural experience in and of itself for me, for which I was grateful. It was an original doubles vendor's bicycle. Again, that is an opportunity I would have not ever had usually, for which again I was, felt honored almost, if I can describe it that way, to have had the ability to sit literally on the seat of a lifelong doubles vendor, someone who's contributed to our culture, or Trinidad and Tobago identity, what is now known as an international identity, doubles. I felt honored for that. I was also very grateful to have the opportunity to film on the streets of Sangre Grande. Growing up, I spent a significant amount of my time in Sangre Grande, as my father has a business there, and most of my brother and I always worked in the business. In fact, we do still work there from time. My brother runs the business, and I'm still there from time to time. So again, that was another great opportunity for me to have had the opportunity to be encapsulated on film on the streets of Sangre Grande. The very first scene of the movie is filmed at the front of the Sangre Grande market, and 100 years from now, I hope that those things can be recognized as being important.
Right.
All right, I'm going to go on and on. So,
No, you feel free to do so. This is your moment.
Well, thank you very much. I would like to speak a bit about our director, Ian. Ian was exceptionally easy to work with. I have been directed by a number of directors, both on stage and, as I mentioned, TV. And Ian encouraged me to share my own view of what the characters' outlook should be, what their disposition should be, what the character should look like. He always gave me the opportunity to share with him what I thought of the role. And more than that, and something was very, very odd for me, he gave me the opportunity to comment on and/or amend lines in his script. And where I learned, where I was taught acting, the Strolling Players Theatre Company, I was taught that the one thing you make sure you never do is amend someone's script. A writer is a writer and ought to be respected as such. And he's written every word in that script for a particular reason. And that ought to be held in very, very high regard. So it was strange for Ian to say to me, look, what do you think about this line? Would you like to recommend something? And of course, I was very reluctant to do that. And in fact, I don't think I made any major amendments, if any at all. But I sincerely learned a lot from being under his direction. I am certainly a better actor, if I can say so myself, for his direction. I am very grateful to him as well for the opportunity that he has given to me, not only in this film, but in the feature film as well. And I do hope that the feature film will also grace your program one day, and we'll be able to do this all over, but for a longer period of time. Of course, that movie is 90 minutes. Thank you very
So
much,
what
Mr. Mohammed. I will end there unless there are questions later on.
No, that's fine. So what we've agreed on is that the feature film is going to be presented at Film Night in Grenada. So we are having our ICC tour of Grenada in August, and if those participants who will be there in Grenada with us will have that opportunity to see the film.
That's excellent. I hope that I can join.
We would love to
there
have
in
you.
Grenada.
We would love to have you. So we'll send you the invitation.
I'm very grateful. I look forward to it.
Great. So before you go, the one thing I want to find out is how long did it take you to be able to prepare a doubles? And I'm talking about wrapping. I don't think you actually cooked it.
No, we didn't do the cooking. Again, that would have been a great experience. Maybe I might have considered a change of career after that, if I had that experience. But yeah, the wrapping of the doubles was something. The thing is, interestingly, when Ian confirmed that, look, I got you got the part and we're going to start filming on X date, I started visiting doubles vendors a bit more frequently and try to, observe how they do things and get the technique right. And I'll tell you, it's not easy at all. They make it look very easy, but it is quite the opposite of that. That is clearly something that is developed only by experience and repetition. And I also observed that's something I'd never observed before, but it's quite clear. I'm surprised it hadn't come to my attention before, but the older the doubles vendors, the quicker they could do these things and the more efficient they are. And they tend to have shorter lines at their double stands. And I guess at that time it came to my attention that, okay, well, clearly they're doing this for 20, 30 years now, and that's why they're so smooth and efficient with it. But yeah, that did take me some time. And the truth is I never got it quite right. And I think that might be the reason why it's not very clearly depicted in the movie. That motion, as smooth as it really is in real life, isn't shown in the movie. And thanks to Ian, he didn't criticize me for it. But the truth is that I really didn't have enough time to get that right.
Yeah, so kudos to all those doubles vendors out there who are very skillful and efficient at what they do.
Skillful is indeed the word, yes, definitely.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Sanjiv. Nice having you on the program, and thanks so much for sharing your experience with us.
Gratitude is in fact mine. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, after that interesting presentation, let's now share a video with one of the producers, Jason Harnarine, in which he talks about the award-winning short film Doubles with Slight Pepper. Daryl, can we have that, please?
Taken a first look at the local movie Doubles with Slide, and the Buzz Weekly actually got to sit down and interview Jason Harnarine, one of the producers behind the award-winning film. Take a look. Doubles with Slight Pepper is an award-winning short film that focuses on the character Danny, who struggles to support his mother by selling doubles.
Doubles with Slight, what was the inspiration for that?
Well, it's basically a play on the movie itself. It's what happens when life disappointments come and hit you. So it's doubles, but with the disappointments of life, hence the slight pepper.
The movie, which began as the thesis project for producer Ian Harnarine, took on new meaning after a family tragedy.
His father passed away the previous year, and while the story is not autobiographical about his experiences with his father's life, his passing of his father prompted certain questions in Ian's mind. You know, what if my life had been different? What if it is? And that's basically what birthed the whole idea of the script. And then when he came to me in 2010, you know, and asked me, you know, if we could do this down here, I had no idea, and we tried, and lo and behold, we came up with a movie.
A film such as this, 16 minutes long, it's pretty short. How are you able to kind of develop the characters where people can actually get a connection?
Well, that is a trick. You have to do it really fast and really well. I mean, you don't have the luxury of a drawn-out tour movie with just a half hour dedicated to this one character to really get the audience to buy into them. You know, you have to do it, and it as Christopher said earlier, it's done with your screenplay. You start off with a good screenplay, and that screenplay might start off with, as you know, hundreds of pages, and then you have to start whittling it down, taking out the unnecessary parts, tweaking this and doing that essentially.
Now, the short film, which began as a thesis film, has slowly gained international recognition, being nominated for Best Short Film at the Toronto International Film Festival, and eventually winning the coveted award. The film was also named one of Canada's best short films for 2011.
Did you think when you all started that it would have gotten this amount, or it had gotten this far?
No. This was just something you did. I mean, because, you know, I was just helping my cousin out, and I didn't know I would learn so much and, you know, appreciate the experience so much. Nobody had any idea.
Doubles with Slight Pepper will premiere at Trinidad and Tobago's local film festival in September.
And there you have it. Just a little bit more about that. We'll invite now Professor Gayatri Badru, a Guyanese-American writer best known for her excellent book, Coolie Woman, The Odyssey of Indenture. She's an associate professor of English and journalism at Rutgers University in New York, New Jersey, and the fellow of indentureship studies at Cambridge University. Welcome, Gayatri. Lovely to have you.
Thank you, Shalima. Good afternoon. Hi, everybody. It's a great pleasure to be here. I'm particularly humbled as a Guyanese who only tasted doubles for the first time, actually, in St. Augustine's, Trinidad, when I was doing research for Coolie Woman. And I think I did order it. I was advised doubles with slight pepper. Hello, Mr. Deen, Mr. Sitahal, Mr. Boodhu, Ian, hello. It's good to see you. I'm here, I suppose, as the author of Coolie Woman, but really more so as a great friend and an admirer of Ian's work. A bit more than a decade ago in New York, we convened a group of Indo-Caribbean artists, writers, filmmakers, academics at the Queen's Museum for a gathering called Coolitude. And it's been really a thrill to see everyone come into their own in their own particular genres and really represent our history and the intricacies, the nuances of migration, contemporary and historical. So, I mean, as the author of Coolie Woman, what first struck me about both the short and the longer film is the frame, the quote that begins and ends both the short and the full-length feature doubles, right? So just to remind you guys, I'm 104th generation Brahmin. Sanjiv Boodhu says, that's a lie. I come from a long line of poor and stupid coolies. Yeah, man, that's me, right? And I think, you know, that's such a powerful line because of the vulnerability it contains and also the self-effacing humor, right? So when I watch this film, I see echoes of our indentured history in two ways, right? I mean, both migrations, the migration of Trinidadians and Guyanese and Caribbeans to Toronto, New York, Canada. That migration involves separation of families, right? And actually, the pattern is usually that it's the woman who leaves first. And that's true if you look at the statistics in New York. Women outnumber men among migrants. So it was interesting to see that script sort of flipped, right? So this migration, like the indentured migration, involves separation of families, and that creates, as Mr. Deen said, complexity and problems, and psychological problems. But migration also cracks open possibilities for reinvention, right? So when our indentured ancestors left, and they traveled through the Kalapani to their new destinations, there was possibility in that. There was loss, but there was also possibility to reinvent themselves along the lines of caste, right? To claim new power, potentially, even though they were headed to plantation societies. Women, for instance, could claim new forms of power in the Caribbean, and that's partly what my work is about. So migration cracks open possibilities for reinvention, even in the most exploitative circumstances, right? But what we see in this short film is that with every possibility for reinvention, there's also the possibility that it will fail, right? You might travel to Canada hoping to open up a doubles, to bring your family to join you, and then together you'll work to open up a doubles shop, right? And it will be a great success. But then for Danny's father, it doesn't work out that way. And from the outside, some might see him as a failure, right? But I think that there's a way to, that there's a truth in that, a really deeply heartbreaking truth in that. But there's also the possibility for humility, right? So when I hear that line, I hear, migration cracks open possibilities for reinvention and self-fashioning. You could claim that you are a 104th generation Brahmin, but it also cracks open possibilities for humility, right? And that line captures that so perfectly, because Danny is saying, no, I'm just kidding. That's a lie, man. I come from a long line of poor and stupid coolies. And the kind of like self-effacing humor in that line is so beautiful to me. And it just does an amazing job of situating this migration in the context of that earlier migration. So those are just some opening thoughts on the film, which broke my heart, the first time I saw it. I think we all, at least for my generation, we recognize our fathers and our mothers in that story. So I just wanted to congratulate Ian. I've seen him on this long journey from making the short into a full-length feature. He is as sensitive a filmmaker as he is a human being. And to congratulate the actors also, who are so brilliant and talented. I just feel honored to be in their midst.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Gayatri. And with that said, let's bring in the man of the moment, Professor Ian Harnarine, born in Toronto, Canada, of Trinidadian parents who migrated there. He earned his MFA from New York University, where he's an assistant professor of writing for and directing of films at the Tisch School of the Arts. Welcome, Professor Ian Harnarine.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thanks to, the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center for inviting me and putting on this event. And, obviously I'm really grateful to Errol and Sanjiv and Badru and Gaitra for for saying those really kind things about me in the film. I've admired everybody. Gaitra, like we've gone back a couple of years now, many years, and her work is really inspirational to me, and I think the entire community. So I'm really grateful that she was able to take time out of her busy day, and I know she's working right now, so I appreciate Gaitra taking the time for this. Thank you. And to Errol and to Sanjiv and Badru, it's great to see you all again, even if just through a computer. I guess there's a couple of things I can address, and then I can talk about some of the questions I think like that Badru asked about in terms of that, in terms of a short presentation that I've created, a couple of slides which I can go through. And if possible, I'd love to be able to show the trailer to the feature film, and we can talk more about that perhaps and how people can see it as well later on. Okay, let me just get this presentation open. Great. Sorry, 1 second. Okay.
Okay, we are seeing it now.
Okay, fantastic, great. Okay, so I guess in terms of where the story came from, as was sort of alluded to, somebody mentioned already, I think what Sanjiv was talking about was the story was really inspired by the relationship that I had. Well, it's not inspired by the relationship that I had with my father, but during a really specific time in his life. So probably like the late 2000s, like 2007 or 8, I want to say, he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. And as I'm sure everyone on this call has had an experience with someone with Alzheimer's or dementia. And as everybody knows, there's no cure for this, right? It's just a matter of how quickly is someone going to go down. And when he was diagnosed and dealing with this, I was going to school in New York, and him and my mom still lived in Toronto, so I was going back and forth a lot over the years, and the changes within them became really obvious to me, especially towards the end of his life. He had really become a completely different person. He wasn't the man that raised me anymore. And I remember on one particularly rough night, I remember I helped my mom get him into bed, and he fallen asleep, and I went and I sat in my old childhood bed, and I was just thinking about this feeling that I had, and it was what it's like to meet somebody, to meet perhaps my father for the first time again towards the end of his life. And it was a complex feeling. It's a really ambivalent feeling. And that's what inspired this movie. It was trying to capture that feeling of complexity between a father and son, and its weight on a family as well. So again, like the father-son relationship in the film is not really the relationship that I had with my father, but the feeling is definitely there in terms of what I tried to capture. And here's a picture of me and my dad many years ago. This is probably like the mid or early 2000s or so. And then he passed away in 2010, as what Sanjiv mentioned. So as Badru sort of asked, why doubles? Why even go through this whole thing, or why even call it doubles? Why is it a big part of the film? For a number of reasons. One of them is it's uniquely Trinbagonian, Trinidadian, and it's also uniquely Indo-Caribbean. Growing up, you never really see representations of ourselves, our culture, on screen or in television. I grew up in Canada, so there's even fewer opportunities to see that. And I always wanted to, to claim to our culture, to our people, when given the opportunity. And so I was given the opportunity to make this film, and this is like, okay, we're going to make something that is really Trinidadian, that speaks to the culture. And as you've all seen the film, it's doubles is really being used as a metaphor. in the film, right? It's what I've, and Badru and everybody in Trinidad knows this, and throughout the diaspora, doubles it's become a great uniter, I think, in Trinidad. Everyone has their doubles man or doubles vendor, and they're going out there, and everyone is in that line, irrespective of ethnicity, socioeconomic class, age, everyone is there. And I think that's what's really interesting about doubles and how it's become so prevalent and how it permeates society is exactly for that reason. It's a great uniter. And that's what I wanted for this film, is that there are big conflicts between this family, huge conflicts that may or may not be reconciled. But the one thing they can always agree on is the food, is doubles. And so for me, that was the reason for going about this, because it's not really about doubles. Of course, it's really more about this father-son story and this emotional story that's being told. But there's also this cultural aspect to it that's in the background. I'll talk a little bit about like the history or making the film. As you mentioned, it was executive produced by Spike Lee, and he was a big supporter of the project. He read every draft of the script when I was writing it. He gave really thoughtful notes. He gave us some money to make the movie as well, and then he watched every edit of the film and again provided really incredible notes, feedback on the film that would have been completely different without his hand in it, so to speak. As Sanjiv mentioned, we shot the film for about a week in over, I think it was March of 2011 or so was when we actually shot the film. And as Sanjiv mentioned, we shot all over the country, in Sangre Grande, Williamsville, Gasparillo. Mr. Sitahal was incredibly grateful to allow us to film in his family's home, because we were really searching for a location, and that his home was perfect. And I'll always be grateful for that opportunity that he gave us to film there. The film was successful. Sort of the ideal thing that can happen to a short film is what happened with this film, and it's nearly impossible to replicate it. We world premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival, which is, it's literally one of the best film festivals in the world. It's probably top 1 or 2, top 3 for sure. And we won the short film award there, and we won the Canadian Academy Award. We got to screen during the Cannes Film Festival. It sort of took on a life of its own, which of course I'm grateful for. And we got some very interesting press as well, in more professional ways. I ended up being on this really influential list that's put out by Filmmaker Magazine called the 25 New Faces of Independent Film. And so I was able to be on that list. And the New York Times wrote a really interesting story. It was written by Vijay Singh, who was writing for the Times, also an Indo-Caribbean woman herself. And I think that's interesting, is because it took somebody, Vijay as a writer working for the New York Times, to actually understand what the film was about, and perhaps its importance, or perhaps what it meant to the community. And so having people in these roles, it allows our other stories to be told. And that article, particularly for the New York Times, was a story of just trying to get the movie made and seen, and sort of the difficulties that's arisen because of that. And perhaps we can talk more about these things a little bit later. I guess my big takeaway from all of this was, given the history that the film went on, and it literally went around the world. It screened at festivals around the world. It won awards around the world. It played on airlines. It played across America on PBS. It was licensed in Japan. It did really, really well. And when I still hear from people and do Q&A sessions, people are always really intrigued by the Indo-Caribbean culture, the food, the music, the location, because this film is really about a very specific group of people in a very specific part of the world. And frankly, a lot of the world doesn't know about it. They're just not aware of it. And the two most common questions I always get is, number one, where in India did you shoot this film? And it's an opportunity to say, actually, we didn't shoot the film in India. There's actually a lot of Indian people in the Caribbean, and then you can tell this brief story of indentureship, and hopefully they go on and learn some more. But it makes people aware of the culture. And number two is, what are doubles? And everybody wants to try doubles ultimately after the movie. And then you got to tell them it's only available in very few places, even within the diaspora as well. But I guess what it proved to me as well is, even in forums like what we have today, and just hearing back from, Indo-Caribbeans that have seen the film, is we're so starved for representations of ourselves and being able to tell our own stories in an authentic way, or at least being given the opportunity to tell it the way we want to be. We want to be seen and being in control of our own image. And ultimately, we need more. We need more of this, right? We need more filmmakers. We need more storytellers. We need more people like Aitra that's doing the work that she's doing, that's telling all of our stories in a bigger way. And ultimately, it really comes down to that we need financial support to do this work, because no one's really getting rich off of this, and it's very hard to do this work without the support of the community, in terms of actually buying books or paying for artwork or just showing up is a really important part of the work, right? Like we're making work, whether it's writing books or making films or doing photography, painting. We're doing things for people to see them. It presupposes an audience, and we're doing things for other people. And when the outside world is able to see glimpses of this culture and of us, I think it's very special. It's a moment of education. It's a moment of recognition that we could also have with ourselves. So with that being said, I'll wrap it up, but I just want to say thank you again so much for having me here. I'm a big fan of the center, and I mentioned I watch the videos on YouTube occasionally. I try to catch in live when I can, but I'm really proud to be a part of it, and I thank you all for the support.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing with us. Did you have another part of the film or part of the feature that you wanted to show?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yeah, I'd love to show you all the
Sure,
the
go
trailer
right ahead.
for the feature. Thank you. Give me 1 second and I'll open it up.
No problem. Meanwhile, Subhash, it was nice having you. Have a great day. Subhash is in Fiji. It's time for him to go to work now. So it's early morning in Fiji. So he was here to see you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, here we go. And I'll say this is special. I think it was only yesterday that we put this out there. So this should be very special for me, at least. Okay.
It's visible to us.
I can still smell the curry and the oil on it from the air.
Ma, we could talk. I fed up on living like this. I fed up on smelling like this. We have to do something now.
Boy, we don't have the money.
But he have it.
Deliveries go to the chef.
It's me.
What money you think I have?
Hey, you alright? That man lied to me my whole life.
Those are his dreams. You are the dream.
All right. Thanks for letting me show that. I appreciate it.
So that's a feature film that we'll be showing in Grenada, right?
Indeed, yes, and it'll be. Well, actually, I'm really excited. It'll be in theaters, in some Canadian cities at the end of July, and also in Trinidad at the end or mid-July as well.
Mid-July, excellent. Where can
And
people see it in the States?
in the
Shabana is
States,
asking.
yeah, we're currently doing festivals only right now. Like we just screened in DC and Washington DC a few weeks ago, and we'll be screening at other festivals throughout the U.S. We're looking for U.S. distribution right now, and so we're hoping to get that.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll invite you to ask your questions now. Please show your electronic hands. Just go to your reactions button at the base of your screen. Click on it. You'll see a raised hand icon. Please give us an indication as to whether or not you would like to pose your questions directly, or you can feel free to make a comment as well. We welcome you. Vidya wants to know if it's being screened in the UK by chance.
Yeah, we're very soon. I'll be able to. We'll be doing a festival in London, but I don't know the exact details of it, so I can't really speak about it just as yet. But if you could follow us on social media, we're the Doubles Movie on Facebook, on Instagram, or on the website as well, doublesthemovie.com. We're pretty good about updating things really quickly as we can.
Okay, just give us that site again.
Doublesmovie.com or Doubles Movie on Instagram and Facebook as well.
Okay, so Jay Nair is in Toronto. Jay wants to know where and when he can see it.
Yeah, great. It'll be in July 26th, I believe. It's opening in Toronto at actually a few cinemas in Scarborough, in Burlington, downtown, and also in Peterborough as well, which is very interesting.
Excellent. Roseanne, if you'd like, please go ahead and pose your question directly.
Okay, so I had two comments, which one has probably been addressed, which is noticing that that the movie was filmed within the multicultural context of Trinidad. That they brought in the music and Santa Claus and the parang, and also that, as Ian said, Doubles crosses all cultural boundaries in Trinidad. I thought it's a very interesting point that you brought. And I also wanted to know if while you were doing this work or while you were researching what you were doing, if any of the actors or any of you actually followed a Doubles vendor and stood there with him as he was doing his work, or did you go in the kitchen, these huge kitchens that women are now, boiling these pots that looks like vats of chana and frying, tablesfuls of bara. Did any one of you actually do all of this? And, how would it or could it have affected maybe a subsequent film?
Yeah, I can speak to that, and I think perhaps Sanjiv and Errol, if they want to chime in. Yeah, I did through some friends who have family that are Doubles vendors. I was able to see a lot of that, and spend time and talk to these people about the entire process. Now it's become it's an industry now, right? Like you can buy pre-made bara now and you don't have to do all that work nowadays. Yeah. And these people have big trucks that they're selling out of. So I know I've done all that research in terms of that, and I was able to really spend time with those people, which for me is really special because it's hearing these stories, hearing their plight to a certain extent at times is what always adds these textures into the work that we do.
Yeah, thank you. Because seeing the Doubles person on the street and part of a street life, that is such a great experience. Just the way he stands at the corner and what comes to him and who comes to him and what he offers, it's just a very interesting intersection there that comes to my mind when I see the movie. Yeah. So thanks for accepting my comments.
Ian, while doing the research and so on, I'm just reflecting on a comment that Jay has made here. Jay says it's a very interesting image of the gurmitia and a very important basic food that becomes famous as street food for the poor and needy. Now it is an economic boom like the Jamaican patties. So while doing the research for the film, do you feel that doubles vendors really have experienced an economic boom?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, there's sauces is they've got franchises now, right? Like this is big business in Trinidad
Yes.
now, I think. And so I think one of the great things, and Badru's book does this really well, is that it allows to uplift entire families out of poverty, and gives them a way of life, a way of living. At times it can be really dangerous, but at times it can be very lucrative as well, or at least enough to support a family. And I think that's kind of the ingenious of it, as as Badru talks about in his book.
Badru Deen, can you give us a comment?
Yes. I think what I like to describe the doubles, at first, this was poor people's food. People will not touch that food and warn their children, do not eat doubles on the street. People were describing my father and brothers as begging for a living on the side of the streets. So the status of doubles started from, minus appreciation to what it is today.
My hand.
To what it is today, that it crosses all cultural barriers, and doubles people, some of the richest people in Trinidad. You should see their houses, the cars they drive, and things like that. But it's the commitment to hard work, and the whole entire family gets involved in it. And it's so sad. Errol touched upon it about the robbery in the movie that you will be showing. But right now, doubles people are getting killed at 3 o'clock in the morning. And that resonates with me, because I know my parents staying up. We would come home on a Saturday night from the movies, and they are now starting to make the doubles, the fry the barrel. You feel guilty to go to sleep. And to address how the entire family gets involved in it. When we speak as children about getting homework, our homework was actually work in the doubles kitchen, not academic. So school and education took second place to helping in the family business. So I see the journey of 88 years, the doubles entered the consciousness of Trinidad and Tobago, is reached its vindication time. Where people actually are calling me, say, you are from the royalty of doubles. I said, wow. But one thing I want to make, I hope this doesn't disturb any political feelings, but a famous line was used in Trinidad recently, and I'm just gonna say by a leader. And he asked, what is so special about doubles? Well, this Zoom meeting here, this discussion, and this awareness and acceptance of what doubles is doing for a nation is what is so special about doubles.
Yeah.
I think also, one thing that I'm particularly interested in, or what I find fascinating, is how doubles has really become a crucial part of the diaspora as well. In New York, particularly, people know Sings, and Trin City was just named one of the great restaurants in New York by perhaps the most, famous food critic in all the world, Pete Wells. He has it on his list of the best restaurants in all of New York, which is kind of mind-blowing when you think about that, what that really means for the culture. And in Toronto, there's all these famous doubles and roti shops all over, and you can get these at the basketball and hockey stadium at the Air Canada Center.
Yes.
You can buy a doubles and roti, like that's unheard of growing up in Toronto that would happen. But I think that speaks to the power of the diaspora, but also what that means in terms of people wanting variety now and how great doubles really are. It's a really simple food to make. I mean, it's actually not simple to make at all, but the ingredients of it and how tasty it is. It speaks to a lot of people, and everyone can enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's take a question from Evan from Guyana.
Yes. Good afternoon. Salam alaikum. Namaskar. Eat Trinidadian doubles. They are a remedy for troubles. So Guyana is extremely, eternally grateful to Trinidad for inventing doubles and having them brought here to Guyana, actually right to the head of my street. Within walking distance of maybe 10 minutes, there is a Trinidadian gentleman who has a stand that sells doubles on a daily basis. So that's where I go. And he is sold out in quick time. Even he makes a lot, but he sold out quite quickly. And I am positive there are more Trinidadians in Guyana now. Actually, there's an influx of Trinidadians since the oil, of course. Maybe half of Guyana is now Trinidadian. But there are a lot of people who are selling doubles now in the Guyana that are of Trinidadian origin. I don't know any Guyanese who actually makes doubles. So, as I said, we are eternally grateful to the Trinidadians, and more must come across and bring other foodstuffs as well.
We return in the favor, Evan. Half of Trinidad is Guyanese. Come on. MK, you had a question?
No, I'm fascinated. Coming from Africa and having just visited Malaysia recently, I'm fascinated by street foods and how families organize their whole economic system around something they could sell in the street. In South Africa, it was samosas. It was little cook sisters. They were sort of cinnamon dipped, sort of a little pastry. And families managed to send their children to universities over a period of time through one or two members selling this type of food from their homes. So I think that it's a metaphor for diasporic survival, if you may. Because if you go to Madagascar, you go to Mauritius, you go to Kenya, you go to Tanzania, you go to Uganda, South Africa, this pattern is there with all the Indian communities. And I'm really excited to see how in Trinidad you've embraced it as a metaphor for social and economic transformation. I think it's a brilliant film. I'm sure that it'll be of interest, not only in the second diaspora, as I call it at this moment, but I think if this was shown in Durban, in South Africa, in Dar es Salaam, in Nairobi, people will find it fascinating.
Indeed. So, Badru Deen, MK is coming to Trinidad. He'll be here for a little while because he's going over to Grenada with us. So he asked me to make sure to take him to, I don't remember your exact line, MK, but where he can get the best doubles. So I was wondering, sauce and curab or daily? What would you do?
I would go to sauce.
Sauce.
Yes. Because I know it, I'm more familiar with it than Debi. Debi reminds me of the long drive to get there. By the time you get there, you're too tired to appreciate. Yes, I think sauce.
Is anyone in the Deen family, anyone coming from your father and your mom, anyone in that line still making and selling doubles?
Yes, but it's towards the end of the saga of Dean's doubles because he is aged and not well. And the last outlet in Santa Cruz, Old Road, is most likely going to be closed because of his advanced age, and no one else to take it over. My father had 6 sons who he depended on, but nobody. And as my book is entitled, Out of the Doubles Kitchen, I try to escape the smoke and the fire and the burning pepper. to make a living somewhere else, because even though it has money, it can support you. It's a difficult way to make a living.
Yeah.
So I escaped.
You escaped, but coming back to the film and what the character Danny would have said, or Danny said, Cynthia, what Danny said was that he's just continuing the generational trauma that goes with being an Indian, which is that you take over the family business no matter how hard that work is. And what you are saying is telling us that in your particular family, the creators of this particular thing, that has stopped.
Yes.
So the hard work though has been replaced by what?
It takes a toll on you. It has been replaced by education was the window of opportunity to escape the fires and smoke from wood burning chulas, as we call them, to make a better life. But it was the base of my existence. And when I wrote about doubles in my book, little did I know that doubles had already written my life story. So it's a fascinating thing to see. As I mentioned before, that this was a rejected product in the beginning. People scorned it. In my book, one of the themes that I addressed was the shame that we carried as sons of the doubles man. It was an invisible backpack of shame throughout, and it took me the writing of the book to embrace and to be vulnerable, and to discover that being truly vulnerable, I was able not to be ashamed of this heritage, because in Trinidad, even a famous past prime minister, when he was defending doubles, he described it as the lowest of the low, Mr. Basdev Pandey. And society didn't give us a chance to because it was looked down upon. Saying that you are begging for a living on the side of the street, the police harassing you, being on a freight bike and a bicycle also helped. When the police move you from a spot, you go somewhere else, and it's so easy to carry everything in that freight bike. And these are the conditions under which the original doubles people had to literally pedal doubles. And nowadays doubles are sold in sheds and restaurants. My brother, who actually is the one I just mentioned, who moved back to Trinidad, but he went to Winnipeg, of all places, where I was there at university and sponsored him to come up. And he had a restaurant, Dean's Restaurant in St. Boniface in Winnipeg. It's a French enclave. And he ran it for 27 years and had sold it because of marital problems and too much work in the family. But the person who bought it kept the name Dean's, and it exists today, and they're still selling doubles in Winnipeg on the prairies, where he taught the Canadians who line up in the snow in the severe winters to come and eat doubles with knife and fork.
Wow.
Badru,
And I could just imagine in the very, very cold that plenty pepper would go well.
Absolutely. Heavy pepper.
Badru, if I'm not mistaken, is it true that that was the first place that doubles were sold outside of Trinidad? Was that your brother that did that?
Yes, in Winnipeg, Manitoba, in 1975. Yeah.
Amazing.
It's quite an amazing story, and to know that he's now ailing And as I said, it's the end of the era of the doubles, Dean's doubles era, or saga, I should say. But it was a journey that ended up beautiful for all of us. You know, I live to tell the story. You know, I like to go back a little bit and give you, Ian, I wish I had known you before before I wrote the book, you know, so that we could have participated in the realistic parts of the experience that I have. And growing up in this doubles business, as I said, it was to carry a shame on our back. And today, the doubles itself afforded us so much material gains. And yet, you know, I must tell you something. I went to University of Manitoba and studied business administration and marketing and so on, and worked for multinational corporations. I went back to Trinidad, and I'm bragging to my father. I said, you know, your boy made it. They made me general manager of this Philip Morris International Operations in Trinidad, and with all the perks of corporate life. So I'm bragging to him. And my illiterate father said to me after he listened attentively, he said, so you were working for somebody? Take that, you know? And he didn't work for anybody. And he saw what entrepreneurship can do to you. And it took me years for me to understand.
That he was right.
He was right, absolutely right.
Yeah.
So
Let's take Badru. Thanks for sharing that. I want to bring Mr. Ken Boodhu on. Mr. Ken Boodhu, who played the role of the doctor in this film. And Mr. Boodhu, please unmute. And can you please tell us what in heaven's name is Bombay blood?
Well, that's part of the script. And growing up with Freddie Kissoon and being trained by Freddie Kissoon, and I think that Sanjiv alluded to it, you were not allowed to change a script that Freddie would write. And if I were to only change one word, Freddie would say to me, Kenneth Boodhu, go and write your own script, please. So you have to ask Ian what is Bombay blood. I really don't know. But you know, I'm not too sure what is more important to talk about now, the movie Doubles with Slight Pepper or Doubles. And you have, for example, Evans, you know, down in Guyana talking about 50% of Trinidadians there, but a lot of Guyanese are making doubles. And I'm just wondering one of these days when the Guyanese will say they made the first doubles, and that's when the bacchanal starts, right? You know that they say that well, of course, the steel band was invented in Trinidad, and it's the only new invention of the 20th century, the steel band. But you know the bacchanal already, the steel band is claimed by Japan and other parts of the world. And so maybe the time is coming for us to put in place the fact that doubles is the only authentic street food that was invented in the 21st century. And that would be Trinidad. So we should be prepared for that. So that's talking about doubles and the importance of getting it right. But I want to come back to the movie now, Doubles with Slight Pepper. And I want to say what a great privilege and pleasure it is to be here, to be associated with great people like Errol and Ian, and even my son Sanjiv, right? And Errol made a point, and he said that Sanjiv, he made my performance. That is what Errol is saying about Sanjiv. And I want to say to Errol today, you, Errol, you made my performances on stage, on television, and on film. You see, it was 1967. I was a student at Queen's Royal College, 17 years old, and Errol was a teacher. Now, some people might say, but the student today looking older than Errol. Errol, I'm glad that you're looking younger than me. And Errol came to QRC and he started this drama class. I joined, I put up my hand, I said, me, sir, I didn't know anything about acting, but he immediately took me under his wing. We did a play at Cuba. That is where it all started. I moved on right after leaving school. I joined the Strolling Players, Freddie Kissoon, and then from one thing to the next, from stage plays to doing a lot of shows on television with plays of the month, a lot of television advertisements, and then the international movies came along, The Right and the Wrong, in which I played a small part. The second one was Caribbean Fox, in which I played the lead role, and which made me into a star in Trinidad. So international movies, television work, and it was all started by my friend Errol. And I want to take the opportunity now to say thank you so much, Errol. You're always in my thoughts, and I hope we will bounce up sometime soon, either I in Canada or you in Grenada. Maybe we could all get invited to Grenada for the release of the film down there, and we can have a ball.
Thanks very much, Ken. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ken. Thank you.
I would like to say thanks to Ian, because he was the one who really pulled Sanjiv into it. Sanjiv was a stage actor from the age of 6, and all along he developed, and there he is today starring in the movie. I remember it was 2011 when Ian came to my store in Sangre Grande, and he started telling me about the movie and that sort of thing, and he wanted to meet Sanjiv. And just like a day or two later, he was at my home, he and his mom, and that's where everything fell into place. So, Ian, we owe you a lot, both Sanjiv and I. You have made Sanjiv into a star. I'm glad that he has contributed immensely to the success of the film, from all the things I'm hearing from both Errol and the others who saw the movie, and even you. And we're certainly looking forward to more work, to more work, to more work. So thank you all very much for having me on the platform. And I'm hoping that we can have one big session in Grenada. I think it's going to be next month. Shalima, I think you would be one who would be organizing that. So we're looking forward to that. Thank you very much for allowing me this contribution.
Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for sharing that tidbit with us. And apparently Shabana is telling us that Bombay blood is indeed a blood type. It's referring to Asians. It's predominant among Asians, actually. So now we know. Alison McCletchy, you had a question, and we'll take your question last if you'd like.
Yeah, I just wanted to, it's not a question so much, but I wanted to, again, say thank you. I hope that very soon we'd be able to get the full length film in the US. But I wanted to say to Mr. Deen especially, I think when I think about what you talk about with your family and that legacy, you hinted, or you said this towards the end, this idea of, people who had very little building a business. I remember we had a family friend who used to sell tulum and tamarind ball and fudge, on the corner to sustain herself. And now as an adult, I've been teaching myself how to make that, because I can't get it where, I can't walk out and get it on the corner. But all these things, the doubles, the tulum, the ginger beer, all these things, especially for people in the diaspora, that help us create home, is so important. And so thank you. This was really a wonderful little experience. And good luck in Grenada. I wish I could join, but have fun.
Thank you very much, Alison. Anybody? Closing comments? Those of you who are speakers, please, your closing comments.
I'll just say thank you all very much for having us. Really, it means a lot, and to hear all the thoughtful comments and questions from the audience. Thank you.
Gaitra, anything? Mrs. Sitahal?
Let's all look forward to the future. So I think it's a beautiful experience for everyone. Lovely. Thank you, Ian.
Gaitra?
And I've learned so much just from being here and listening to all of you. So thanks very much to the ICC Thanks to Ian, thanks to the actors, Mr. Deen.
Sanjiv?
Thank you all very much yet again. Thank you for the opportunity of being here. Thank you to Ian. Thank you to Errol. And I look forward to working with you and being part of the ICCC projects in the future.
Wonderful. Mr. Deen?
Well, I was going to present a slide that showed the cover of my book. So since it didn't appear, I will shamelessly plug Out of the Doubles Kitchen, available on Amazon.com, and it gives you the origin of doubles, the history, the timeline that made this famous delicacy such a product to be talked about on forums like this. My parents must be turning in their grave just to know that what they did for survival is today being celebrated in this type of form of appreciation of a movie made about what they created.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, as always. And, you know, doubles is a thing that we measure economic growth by. The minute it goes up by $1,
absolutely,
people realize the problems that we are in. So, having said that, I want to thank you all very, very much for sharing your wonderful program, Doubles with Slight Pepper, with us, that movie, and we are looking forward to the feature film. And thank you all for participating today, members of the audience as well. Thank you so much for your comments. Thank you very much for your time. And I'll turn you all over now to Ashiria.
Yes, thank you, Shalimar. You've been a wonderful moderator as always. And yes, thank you all for taking the time to attend and participate. And as was said earlier, this is a public meeting. It's being hosted by the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center. Feel free to contact the ICC to publish your books, like the one by Baituram and Shamsuddin. And remember, we are asking you kindly to give us your suggestions. If you give a donation, your name will be placed on our poster and all our promotional materials. Please contact Dr. Mahbir for details about this. Our topic next Sunday will be the continuation of our live conversations with elders in the Indian diaspora. Thanks to the advisory and planning team led by Dr. Kumar Mahbir, thanks to our IT consultant, Daryl Gransam and Naveen Mungal. They've been recording this program and they will upload it to our website and also to YouTube permanently for posterity. And thanks to Daryl again for designing the poster, and Ravin Ramsingh for doing the social media marketing, and Mariam Mohammed for producing our TikTok videos. Please visit our YouTube channel to see all our past recordings. I'm Ashiria Alnoud from the Netherlands saying goodbye. May God bless you all. Dhanyavad.
Bye, and thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you all for coming and staying this almost 2 hours. So we will have join us every Sunday, same time, on different topics, different speakers. We are very grateful for all of you. So, okay, anybody wants to talk off record, and we are going to stop the YouTube recording as well. So if anybody has anything to say. Okay, Shalima.
I see Mr. Pandey. Mr. Pandey, welcome. You came in a little bit late, unfortunately. I think you missed the feature film.